Welcome back, everybody. Vintage Sewing Machine Garage here. I am outside on the porch, and I am basically bringing you an update on this poor Kenmore free arm that somebody had put axle grease in, and God knows they must have put it in an attic or somewhere. And yet it is a magnificent piece of engineering, and that's why I've been struggling so much to save it. It was given to me free, but I can promise you this is not a source of money making, not any the least. So you'll notice it doesn't have its tension assembly, but I think I have a spare for that. I am not the least worried about that. This machine has had other problems. And anyway, I've been going back with more, I've been using liquid wrench, different types of penetrants, and again, just trying to get it to behave. And when I do, I believe I have figured out why it has been so ornery. And I'm going to show you how these work. Hopefully, if you ever have one that's stuck, it's not stuck to this degree. And anyway, I'll try to zoom in here and I'll show you what I've been discovering. The first thing I want to talk about is how this knob, which is what most sewers that's all they ever see, how does it relate to the mechanism inside this machine? The machine was incredibly well made, so I don't blame the machine or the engineers for this. This is the last user that had the poor thing. Now, as I've talked about before, when you see plastic knobs and you get a machine and those knobs won't turn, there's a reason. When I often just, like a drum beat, I say, please don't force this. This plastic knob is really just a cover for a piece of steel that goes into the machine, and it works fine. They glued it with some kind of cement back in 1974, and they work fine. These don't break on their own. What happens is, as you can see, all the complex mechanisms in here, they get stuck, and if you try to force two pieces of metal that are stuck with old lubricant, it's almost like they're cemented together. And the glue behind this little poor plastic knob is going to fail, and you will break it, and that would be a shame. Now, I'm going to turn the knob. Right now I have it on the setting. I'm going to have to lower this tripod just a bit. Okay, everyone, I wanted to get the tripod adjusted here so give you a better view. So I want you to see where I have the knob. Right now, it is on the little red dot here, and that's your general kind of home base for sewing. It's where you do your straight stitching, your normal zigzagging. All of these other knobs are specialty stitches, and then we'll talk about the stretch stitches in a minute. This machine doesn't even dream about doing stretch stitches right now. Those are probably the most complex of all stitches that vintage machines can do. That is not our first priority. So notice where I have this right now. Okay? Now, I'm going to then show you, try to show you. I'm going to zoom in here, and where's my pointer? Let me need my pointer. I'll point with a Q-tip. Okay, right here, there is an arm, a piece, covered in grease too, and what happens is this, you'll see it move. Well, actually, let me turn this. I don't know if you guys saw this, but there's a little, I don't know, it's like a gear follower, like a little, I call it a gear finger for lack of a better word. And what you'll see is it can move in and out. And as the machine spins, all of these wonderful built-in steel cams, they're like gears. And then this can move. It can move in and out. Now, notice when I push this back with a screwdriver, watch what happens when I let go. It should move to the left. Well, it didn't exactly snap in there. This machine has springs that are designed to put tension to get it to move toward and hold toward those cams. Well, they're moving better than they were. They weren't moving at all when I got this sad thing. And, of course, it's all about that grease, right? Now, and I don't know if, well, let's see if I can zoom back. You may see, watch what happens. And by the way, this machine is unplugged. Never do this with the machine plugged in. Watch what happens. Can you guys see the needle moving when this moves? I don't know if you can see that or not. Watch the needle. It's giving it zigzag motion. That's what this is doing. Now, what it should be doing is that spring should be causing it to move with a zigzag pattern. And right now, I think we're up a little too high for you guys to see it, but the needle is now moving back and forth. I have managed to get it to do that. And the reason is because the little mechanism, the little finger, is now starting to, it's not exactly ready to graduate yet, but it is starting to push against this cam. And look, there's still more of this crappy grease here, driving me crazy. All right, get out of there. Look at that. Look, there's just more junk in there, right? Okay, so now if you watch here, watch how this moves. This movement was not happening before, and that's why I could only get straight stitch, and I was lucky to get that. Now we're getting a little more movement. It has taken a lot of, oh my gosh, trying to get these cleaned and trying to get it to where it would slide back and forth, because that grease had, like I say, it had glued that all this mechanism. There are lots of little pieces, and they work like sleeves. If you've ever taken apart a dining table with the leaves, you know how everything kind of moves together at one time, and if one part's not working, the rest of it's going to have problems, and that's what we've got here. Now, I'm going to move the camera again because I want to show you why it has also had problems. Watch what happens. I'm going to move this from regular. It's going to go up to its first specialty stitch, which is something called a pine leaf and some sort of fancy stitch. It's actually a cool stitch. Now watch. Notice that this finger moved. It rose. I don't know. Let's zoom in. That might make it easier for you to see. Now, what am I pointing to? Right there. Okay? So take a look at that and watch what happens when I move this. I'm turning the knob. Now watch this, and it should rise. See? Look at that. It just came up a notch. It's engaging with yet another cam to give us the stitch that we were hoping to get. And I think that's a fancy zigzag. Either that or it's a blind stitch. Okay, now watch. I'm going to turn it again. Keep watching right here. And now it just went down again. But notice it's moving. This movement normally happens a lot faster. At least it's happening somewhat. It's kind of slow and lazy, but it's moving. That's progress, but good God, is it slow progress. Now, I'm going to go back to that regular straight and the zigzag place on the knob. Now watch what happens when I turn this. This should be going down, and it didn't really fall, but I just pushed on it and it did. I shouldn't have to do that. That's the remnants of that grease. Well, you think, well, where is it? Because I've been cleaning all around here. I'm going to move the camera now and show you where I believe that sloppy laziness is happening. Okay, guys, this is what I really made the video today to show you. I don't know if you can see this. I'm going to point with the screwdriver. There is a column, a vertical shaft here, and there's one I'm going to call it a sleeve. I don't know what else to call it. It sits right down here. And then there's this one, and then there's the top. Okay? So you've got essentially, you've got 1, 2, 3. Now, as that little finger that follows the built-in cams, in order for it to move up and down to engage different cams, all of which have a different pattern, this piece slides on this shaft, or it is supposed to. Now, I'm going to turn the knob. You can't see me doing it, but you'll remember the knob I was turning. Now watch what happens. Did you see that move? This moved up off that shaft. Okay, now keep your eye right here, eyes right here on this little sleeve as I turn the knob again. Watch. Do you see it? It's moving up again. That sleeve is attached. It actually holds the finger that's moving against our built-in cams. I'm going to keep turning it. I'm going to turn it again. Now let's watch. Keep watching this. There it is. It fell, right? Didn't exactly fall super fast, but at least it fell. It has not been doing that. That's why I've been fighting with this thing just to get it to do a zigzag. Now I'm going to turn it one more time. Now watch, it just fell again. Okay, it's riding up and down on this shaft, and that allows that finger to move vertically. There's another piece in here, obviously, that pushes. It's spring-loaded, and the spring, of course, is sitting right up top. And that spring is what is supposed to be pushing the finger against the cam. Okay? Oh, all right. So we're going to turn the knob one more time. Keep watching here. Did it move? It came up a little bit, not a lot. Let's move it again. Let's see which one we're on here. Okay, we're back to the pine leaf. Now let's turn it. It just rose up again. Now, I'm going to turn it one more time. It fell. Now, one more. Okay, it fell. Now, we need to get back home to our straight and zigzag stitch. Now, watch this and watch it on the shaft. Boom. It's really slow. It's not where it needs to be, right? Because if I take this and push down, do you see that? I shouldn't have to do this. This should happen on its own. So I'm going to take, this is my latest theory here. I'm going to take, this is alcohol and cotton swabs. That should be my middle name, alcohol and cotton swabs. And I'm going to try to get more of this grease. That brown that you see on the shaft here, that's old grease, right? Even old oil doesn't look that dark. I've seen old sewing machine oil. It looks kind of amberish looking. But this thing, I don't know how they got this much in here. What'd they do? And you can see it coming off the cotton swab. Again, these are very well machined parts, and even the worst sewing machine oil that I have ever seen gum up, it is not this thick. It creates problems, obviously. So here I am, Karate Kid stuff here, wax on, wax off, still trying to get it to come off. I tell you what, this is something I have been determined to do. If any of you own one of these machines, you know they are wonderful, but they're complex, right? Any of you who have Singer 400 series and 500 series, those were Singer's second attempt at zigzag machines, you know that they make wonderful stitches, but they do it with all built-in pieces. It's a different design, but they have similar issues. Any machine from the vintage era that can do lots of fancy stitches without adding cams, those machines have mechanical setups. It may not be the same one as this, but they have complex mechanical arrangements like you see here. And they need to be run. They need to be kept clean. They need to be oiled regularly, and you don't want to let them sit. If a machine like this, and it doesn't have to be a Kenmore, it could be a Singer 401 Slant-O-Matic, it could be the Rocketeers, or even the Singer 600 series. There were a few all metals that came out before they gave up on metal machines. Those machines are they're very well made and they work well, but they do not tolerate sitting in attics. They don't tolerate people letting them sit for years and then expecting to go in there and start sewing, because they're not weak. They're just very sensitive to not being cared for. So compared to a good old straight stitch Singer, normally straight stitch Singers are the most forgiving when it comes to machines have sat. And obviously that 185J mint little pistachio there that I've been struggling with is an exception. So there are exceptions to everything, and I think I just showed you an example of that with that Singer. I was so frustrated with that thing, and it was all preventable. You can't blame the machine. You blame the people who didn't know how to take care of it. And there's really no excuse for that. In the old days you could understand, but with the internet, information is so easily had. If anyone really cares, they can get information on, just basic care. Where's a good place to put a sewing machine? And that little green Singer, my God, that thing was in a case. It wasn't even at a table. It took up about as much room as a loaf of bread. But people are funny. They don't value certain things, and when they don't take care of them. And if you've ever gotten anything, from someone, you can tell like that gorgeous Singer 201 Centennial that I just finished a video on, getting a lot of response to that machine because, you know, it's obvious. You look at it, my God, it needed me to go through it and overhaul it, of course, and that overhaul is complete. But I have to tell you, people, you can really tell people who knew how to take care of something and people who didn't. So, I don't know if you guys can see this. I'll zoom in a little bit. I've gotten a lot of the grease, all that I can see on this shaft, off. Now, I'm going to have to go back, obviously, with sewing machine oil because it's got to have lubrication. But, again, I don't want to disassemble this. If I do, that becomes a whole nother project. And it shouldn't have to be that way. And I'm not convinced it would help. So, I have been experimenting with this machine and I've gotten it to run a little bit of zigzag, a little bit of blind stitch. It's been temporary, but now I'm beginning to think I know why. And when you look at this and you look at all the mess of that's been in this machine, it's a miracle that does anything, really. And you know what, if for some reason the machine, oh hello, if the machine never runs properly again, at least we tried. You know, at least it was something that, you know, could make videos on for people. I have to get that cotton swab out of there later before I turn the machine. By the way, always be careful when you're working on your machine because you might drop a cotton swab down in there. Just wanted to show that to you, so if that happens to you, don't feel bad. It even happens to people who've been doing this for 9 years. Okay, guys. So I'm going to turn this, and we got movement in here. We're clearly doing better than we had, right? I'm getting a zigzag. I'm going to move the camera for you, and you can see. Well, why is that? The whole reason is this mechanism tells the needle what to do, right? And again, we're starting to get, watch this, you can see this moving. This wasn't moving before. So this may not look like a lot of progress, and this machine still looks like crap aesthetically, but again, I'm not scared of dirt, scratches, or any of that. That's easy to fix compared to this. So now we're getting this movement back, this beautiful mechanism that was engineered and designed to move properly. Now, what we really need to do, what I need to do before I can get this thing to truly sing again, is I need to ensure that when I turn this knob, that this mechanism here, which I just realized, I just revealed more old grease when I moved it. There we go. That gives me an opportunity to remove more of this nonsense. Once I get this vertical movement, up and down moving, I think we're going to be hopefully closer to allowing this machine to do its thing. And it's an amazing piece of equipment. Again, when I've worked on machines, these Kenmores and again those Singer Slantomatics, they're just incredible, but they do not put up with mistreatment, as you can see. And they have a lot more going on than do the simpler straight stitch machines, that little 185 notwithstanding. Okay, so we will see. I'm going to keep working on this, guys, and hopefully I'm going to get some success here by getting this grease off of this shaft. And hopefully, once I've done that, of course I'll go back with sewing machine oil and we'll see what happens. And I cannot tell you right now if this machine will ever run properly. It might run 80%, 80, who knows, 90% if we're lucky. I don't know. If we get 100%, then that's great. But again, if nothing else, this is testament to how you really need to take care of your machine. And the biggest thing you can do for that, just use the sewing machine oil and keep it indoors. If you value something, don't put it out in the basement or unfinished basement or garage. Come on, don't do that. So I'm going to try to get this mechanism to learn to work again. Is it all the way down? No, it's not. Still not moving the way I want it. I want it to go there. Boom. Now it's ready to do my zigzagging. But we'll keep working on it, guys. I just wanted to give an update. Some of you have been asking me on the channel there. Whew. And if you have one of these, I hope you never have a machine this tough. But if you do, just wanted to give you some encouragement. Don't give up. You know, just try a little bit at a time. If something doesn't work, you try something else. And I'm going to basically put in a little bit more of the penetrant. I think I'm going to put in some. I'm going to have to go underneath this and totally clean the machine because I've got too much of this stuff down in the bottom. But I'm going to basically keep working on this and see if we can get it to come back to life. The rest of it should be okay. It's just this very complex mechanism here that we really want it to learn to work again the way it was meant to. Thanks for watching, folks. You guys are more patient than I am, I think, when it comes to this Kenmore. And I'm not new to machines that are fussy, but I'll tell you what, it's I love these Kenmores, by the way, and you guys know that. And it's, again, it's not the problem is not the machine, it was the past user. So thanks for watching, and stay tuned. Next time I will be updating you at some point on this sad little Kenmore, because it's a beast of a machine, and I'm really hoping that I can get it to come to life and really sing the way it did the day it was bought in the 1970s at someone's Sears store. Take care, everyone.